The sharp knock on the door at exactly 4 echoed through the quiet house, pulling me from my thoughts. Taking a deep breath to steady myself, I reached for the handle and opened it. There she was, Megan, standing uncertainly on the threshold. Her once vibrant confidence had withered, replaced by nervous energy and hollowed-out despair. Her eyes, rimmed with red, hinted at sleepless nights and tears shed in solitude. Though her hair was neatly combed, it had lost its luster, hanging limp and lifeless. The woman before me was a ghost of the person I had once loved, shattered by the weight of her own betrayal. She had come to ask for another chance, for reconciliation, for mercy, not in this lifetime. The memories of her deception burned fresh in my mind, each one sharper than the last. The lies, the manipulation, the way she had twisted my trust until it snapped beneath the weight of her infidelity. Her lover had already fled, slinking away with a broken nose and the looming shadow of an impending divorce. But it wasn't just him. It was her actions, her choices that had torn our family apart. And then there was Mary, a fleeting wildfire of passion that had ignited after the chaos. 4 too intoxicating days. She had made me forget until the truth surfaced. She had chosen to erase the life growing inside her, snuffing it out to maintain her freedom, to keep the door open for a fling with some soccer player nearly a decade ago. The revelation had gutted me, severing even the thin thread of friendship that remained between us. I had laughed in her face when she begged for forgiveness. Some things were simply unforgivable. Women like Megan, like Mary, formed tight circles, protecting one another, just like animals in the wild. "Come in, Megan," I said, my voice devoid of warmth. She hesitated before stepping inside, the weight of our history pressing down on her. Guilt clung to her like a second skin. She knew what was coming, and yet she still held on to the hope that words alone could mend what she had shattered. "Please, Jack," she whispered, her voice barely more than a breath. "Don't do this. Don't go through with a divorce." Her hands trembled as she reached for mine, but I stepped back. "If you give me another chance," she continued, desperation thick in her tone, "I will spend the rest of my life making up for my mistakes." Mistakes. As if that word could encompass the depth of her betrayal. As if an apology could erase the memory of what she had done. It was almost laughable that I had once loved this woman, that I had once built a life with her, trusted her, believed in her. But what she had done went beyond simple infidelity. She had conspired. She had plotted. She had made me a pawn in her twisted fantasy, weaving a web of deception so dark, so vile, that even now it was hard to believe. She and her so-called friend Sylvia had schemed against me, drugged me, orchestrated an unforgivable violation to blackmail me into submission. They had tried to strip me of my dignity, my autonomy, reducing me to nothing more than a tool in their cruel, perverse game. Even when she saw the pain she had inflicted, even when the possibility crossed her mind that I might not survive it, she had still gone through with it. That was the depth of her selfishness. "If you want any kind of forgiveness," I said, my voice ice cold, "I want to know everything. No lies, no omissions. If you lied to me even once, we're done." She swallowed hard, nodding, before lowering herself onto the couch. "Tell me, Megan," I demanded. "Tell me what the hell was going through your mind when you and Sylvia made those plans. When you decided to degrade me. When you decided to destroy me." Her lips parted, but no sound came out at first. Then, as if the weight of her guilt had finally crushed the last of her resistance, the confession spilled forth. Tears streaked down her face as she laid bare every sordid detail. She told me how they had plotted, how they had justified it, how they had drowned out whatever shred of conscience remained in the excitement of their twisted scheme. She spoke as though in a trance, reliving every moment, every decision, every betrayal. And the worst part? She had known that what she was doing could break me, could drive me to a place of no return. And yet, she had done it anyway, because she wanted to, because it thrilled her, because she had convinced herself that my suffering was a price worth paying for her pleasure. I sat there, listening, expressionless, as a woman who had once vowed to love and cherish me unraveled the truth. There was no excuse, no justification, just the raw, ugly reality of who she was. And in that moment, I knew there was no saving this, no repairing it, no second chances. Megan had sealed her own fate. The question that tormented me the most clawed its way out of my throat, raw with pain and disbelief. Why, Megan? Why in our home? Why in our bed? The bed where we built a life together, where we created memories, where our children once curled up between us. Did you hate me that much? Did you want to punish me, humiliate me, break me into something unrecognizable? Megan flinched at the sharp edge of my voice. The more I pressed, the more her shoulders hunched, her entire frame folding inward as if she could disappear beneath the weight of her own shame. She remained silent for a long moment, staring at her hands, her breath shallow and uneven. Then, at last, she whispered so softly that I almost missed it. It's Steve. A bitter laugh escaped me. What? I snapped. Speak louder. Megan. She lifted her head, eyes brimming with tears, and this time she shouted. Steve demanded it. A frigid silence settled between us. The air itself seemed to constrict around me. As soon as he learned about plans Sylvia and I had, he insisted that everything happened in our marital bed. He wanted you to be nearby, to hear, to see. He said that was the only way he'd be involved. He kept repeating it over and over, and I didn't object. I was so caught up in the moment that I didn't dare. My hands clenched into fists. A slow, simmering rage curled through my veins, its heat rising with every breath. And yet you still have the audacity to claim you never wanted to humiliate me. My voice was steel, sharp enough to cut. What do you call this? Megan, tell me, what else could this possibly be, if not the most deliberate, vile form of humiliation? She didn't answer. She simply stared at the floor, her lips trembling, her breath coming in uneven gasps. And in that moment, I knew I had all the answers I needed. Without another word, I rose abruptly from my seat, grabbed the recorder from the shelf, and walked out, leaving her behind, stunned, silent, and utterly defeated. But fate wasn't done with Megan just yet. Her downfall came swiftly, delivered by the very man she had sacrificed everything for. Steve Adams, the spineless coward, had made a pathetic attempt to retaliate when I confronted him. He swung at me, but all he earned for his trouble was a broken nose. Furious and humiliated, he made a call, one that would seal Megan's fate. The police arrived within minutes. Megan was arrested right there, in my house, and taken away in a police cruiser. With her confession captured on film, the interrogation at the station lasted less than an hour. Under pressure, she cracked, breaking down into sobs as she admitted everything. How she and Sylvia had plotted against me, how they had spiked my drinks with drug provided by Sylvia's ex-boyfriend, how every despicable detail had been carefully planned. The trial was swift, the evidence overwhelming. Megan and her conniving best friend were sentenced to 3 years in prison, charged with extortion and drug distribution. The judge, compassionate yet firm, granted me full custody of the children and awarded me all family assets to ensure their well-being. Life moved on. Megan faded into the past, a ghostly echo of a mistake long buried. My children missed her at first, their young hearts clinging to the memories of the mother they once adored. But time is relentless, and love, true love, has a way of mending even the deepest wounds. Then, fate twisted the knife once more. 6 months later, Steve Adams got what was coming to him. Late at night, in the dim glow of a club parking lot, an unknown figure in a dark tracksuit and a baseball cap approached him. The man didn't take his wallet, didn't demand his watch. He was there for something else entirely. He knocked Steve to the ground and, without a word, delivered a merciless beating. The iron tip of his boot cracked ribs, bruised organs, shattered whatever arrogance Steve had left. When it was over, Steve could no longer gaze at the stars, his world forever confined to the ground beneath him. The police barely investigated. Too many betrayed men had reason to seek justice. Too many scars traced back to the likes of Steve Adams. In the end, Sarjaber filed another report, and the case was quietly closed. And so, life moved forward. My children found love in the arms of another, a woman who never betrayed them, never abandoned them, never shattered their world for selfish pleasure. Kelly, at first, she was simply the nanny, a quiet and patient presence in our home. 18 years old, gentle, kind. But as time passed, she grew into a remarkable woman, one who, in secret, had fallen in love with me while caring for my children. I never expected it. My friend was shocked when we began dating. There were whispers lingering in the background. But love doesn't ask for permission. It simply finds a way. A year after my divorce was finalized, Kelly and I were married in a modest ceremony, surrounded by those who truly mattered. She never gave me a reason for jealousy, and I never gave her one in return. 30 years have passed since then. 2 more children, a lifetime of love, and a marriage built on trust, not betrayal. Kelly was never like Megan, never like Mary. She was the love I had once thought impossible to find again. And in the end, that is what truly matters. As this chapter in the world of human relationships comes to a close, I leave you with this. Betrayal can break you, but love, true, unwavering love, can heal even the deepest wounds. Thank you for being part of this journey. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you in the next story.